Hello everyone and welcome back to a new video. This will also be the final video I'm recording before I leave for my vacation trip over the weekend. But in my previous video, the GSSR guide, I asked if you guys wanted me to talk about the Destiny order as well, which is like the second GSSR that works a bit differently. And a lot of people said, yeah, I should make a video about this too. I still have a little bit of time to record and get this out. I've kind of already finished packing, but yeah, let's talk about the Destiny order and your options for each class. So unlike in the GSSR video, I'm not going to really give ratings to the classes themselves. Instead, I'm going to give you my top 3 choices for each of the classes. Also, same with the GSSR, I first and foremost always recommend selecting your favorites. That's like the best thing you can do. But I will give you now my gameplay recommendations. For a single target Saber, if you just want to play it safe, one of my picks would go to Medusa Saber. She's just really solid all around, pretty self-sufficient too. Can't really go wrong with her. For a secondary pick that also happens to be a single target Saber, I would go with Benyenma actually. Maybe not fully because of her DPS potential, but because of her supporting potential. I think she offers some interesting stuff that you can't really find easily in the Saber class, and this will also be a bit more relevant when the grand update hits in the distant future. And if you don't have a copy of Nero Bride, I think she's a great choice as well. So again, for Benyenma and Bride, it's mostly assuming you don't have copies of them already. If you do, I would probably pick someone else. For AoE, you can try Summer Okita Altar or Ibuki if you need more of those options. So that's it for my Saber recommendations. We have a little bit less choices for Archer, but my first pick on Archer would be Gilgamesh. Yes, he's very simple, but the numbers speak for themselves. This bad will still hit very hard against servants, and it's just an undeniable fact. He has very high numbers. Not sure if this is a hot take, but my next pick would be a recommendation for Super Orion. Not everyone would put him at the top of a tier list, but he still never fails me. He's just a very solid anti-boss DPS. His solo is whatever, but in a team environment, he will just hit super hard consistently. There's no real big issues with this guy. He's just very good. And for my final pick, I would probably recommend Archeria potentially, because she is still a very solid single target archer. Much like Gilgamesh, she is super basic, but she has the most loopable single target MP in the game. Easiest Black Grail companion there is. Just super easy to use, especially if you have a Castoria. I do want to give an honorable mention to Tesla though. If you're not feeling Gilgamesh, Tesla is another really solid option. He's just a fantastic archer all around for both farming and bosses. Durga is another one you can consider. For Lancer, I'm just going to start with the obvious, Melucid. She's still top tier. One of the best AoE buster units in the game. Can even do some single target stuff. Can't really ever go wrong with Melucid. Now, I got some feedback from my GSSR video where I gave high scores to banners that had servants that needed future buffs to be really good. And while I can see your points, I am still gonna future-proof here and account for future buffs. So my next recommendation on that mind will go to Shisho, aka Skahak. Once she gets her 3rd skill buff, anything that's divine will just automatically be melted by her. It is pretty ridiculous. I'm still flabbergasted they did that buff, but yeah. Shisho is a top tier single target Lancer. And for my 3rd pick, I'm either gonna go with Ereshkigal or Quirinus. Quirinus, if you really want to push for that high end damage, he has the highest potential of Lancers. It's not the easiest thing to do, but he has the highest ceiling. And Ereshkigal is just a great all-around servant for both bosses, farming, easy to use, self-sufficient. Will even get a buff in the future as well to cement her solidity even more. So I would choose from one of those two. But my top 2 would be Melusine and Shisho. For Rider, I am actually going to recommend a permanent here, Ozymandias. Still the best single target rider in the game. Absolutely cracked. Hardly any weaknesses. Just works like a charm on any boss fight and can even be used in some single core or multi-core farming if you have a good enough copy. Mostly because he doesn't really have any niches for damage. You kind of need a good copy for that, but having a spread battery and some buffs as well definitely has some multi-core potential. For my 2nd pick, I would absolutely recommend Rhinus. Again, assuming you don't have a copy of her, Rhinus is amazing. She is a god tier support. Not used a ton in farming. You can do that as well, but mostly in bosses, she is just cracked. You can pair her with Castoria or almost basically any other mainstream support. She is not tied to any card type, works like a charm, always. I bring her in like every boss fight ever. Can't recommend her enough. Now, the third choice was a tough one. It's between Taikobo and Constantine. Constantine, again, because of the future-proofing aspect. Once his MP buff happens, he becomes a staple for a Buster support. And Taikobo is just a great multi-core DPS. Has a lot of things to like. For bosses, he has a bit of downtime, but for farming, he is super good. Especially if the targets have the divine trait, he will just do really good damage in addition to helping your other DPS. So if you want something good now, I would go for Taikobo. But if you're willing to wait and you like the Buster card archetype, I would go for Constantine for a third choice. For caster, there's obviously a lot of choices, but my top three, assuming you don't have copies of them in order, would be number 1 is Castoria, number 2 is Merlin, and number 3 is Caster Scotty. Those would be my absolute recommendations, starting from, the order I listed, in case you don't have any of them. If you do have some alternatives you could look into are Miss Crane and Tamamo. They're still both very relevant and good servants. And if you want some damage, Izumo, you can't really go wrong with her either. She's the best single target DPS there is for casters. The AoE side, maybe a hot take. I don't think any of them are really must-have for any account, so I would not really go for any of the AoEs. Murasaki has some okay utility, but again, I would not call her a must-have. For Assassin, once again, if you don't have a copy, Koyan is the number 1 choice here. Very much a no-brainer. Or if you just want someone else instead, Tess is the other really, really good choice. Really amazing on multi-core farming. Just cannot hype this guy enough. And if you want a future-proof, the best assassin damage-wise is Kama in this list. Once her MP buff happens, she is just ridiculous. Assuming the enemy can be debuffed, she will just melt them. So those are my top 3. For Berserker, I think the number 1 choice will go to Arjuna Alter. Much like Gilgamesh, his kit is basic, yes, but he brings undeniably good numbers to any kind of fight. If you just wanted someone who's really good at, against any class that's not like Foreigner, then Arjuna Alter is a very easy recommendation. If you like arts farming, then Ibuki Summer is another really solid choice. Still relevant to this day, does the job well. And for my third choice, I would recommend Morgan. For farming, you do need a good copy unless you hit some of her niches, because her damage otherwise is not that great, but she has a lot of team support, a lot to like there. Much like with the Saber one, she also is very good in the Grand Berserker scenario. Mostly as a support, but still there's not a ton of, supporting Berserkers out there. Honorable mention to Sen no Rikyu as well. She is one of the better AoE quicks in the game, so if you like the idea of that, you could absolutely choose her as well. There's many solid options here, but those would be my top recommendations. Then we have Extra 1, comprised of Ruler, Avenger, and Moon Cancer. Number 1 choice here, by far, is Summer Scotty. If you don't have one, I think it's a no-brainer. Just lock her in, don't think about it, go for it. Number 2 choice, I'm gonna give it to Summer BB. She might not be a must-have for any account, but she does something that hardly anyone else does the way she does it. So it gives her an interesting value to have on an account for sure. And now, if you're not into card locking, you could obviously go with someone else, but I think just because of that alone, she is worth considering. And number 3, this is gonna get me a lot of hate in the comments, but I'm gonna recommend Jinako. Yes, Jinako, a permanent with all of these nice looking limiteds in the mix as well. I think every account should have a copy of Jinako. She is the best anti-lawful support, and a lot of high-end farming will have lawful servants in them. So if ever that is the case, she is always a solid choice in your farming lineup. There's a couple of big waifus here like John Alter and Arcuade, and if you are going for big copies of them, they're also very solid choices, because once the Append 5 happens for Arcuade and once Jalter's third skill buff happens, they both become so much better in farming. So getting a better copy of them via increasing MP levels is also not the worst thing you could do. And then we have Extra 2 comprised of Alter Ego, Foreigner, Pretender, and Beast. This is a tough one because there's so many good servants in here. Considering, again, there is so many good ones, but I think if you do not have an Oberon, he would be my number 1 choice. But if you do have him, number 2 choice, there's 3 amazing choices. There's Dolman, Van Gogh, and Lady Avalon. Those would be my absolute top choices on this. Now, if you happen to have them all, which is possible, I guess, because people do recommend them a lot on banners. Draco is good, very universal, especially if you go for a big copy. She's great, easy to use. Same with Kukulkan. If you're going for that big copy, it's fine. But honestly, her MP might not always be the end-all be-all anyway in her DPSing. And Koyan of Dark offers some interesting multi-core potential and is not the worst DPS herself either. But yeah, my top choice would be Oberon, followed by Lady Avalon, Van Gogh, and Doman in no particular order. So whichever you happen to have, I would just go with the one you don't have and then fill in with whatever DPS you like if you have them all. I don't think any of them really need MP levels desperately, definitely not Oberon. Lady Avalon I think is the best value for MP levels, but yeah, do what you will with that. So there you go. Sorry if this was a bit abrupt, I couldn't even appear on camera because I haven't even showered yet. I'm still kind of packing for my trip over the weekend, so I just wanted to get this out there. Also, if it wasn't obvious, I didn't spend a ton of time preparing and talking about like choosing my picks for this, but I'm pretty firm on my choices anyway of what I just recommended. So do leave me a comment below if you think, again, I snubbed someone or even overrated someone. You know, it's just one man's opinion at the end of the day. So yeah, this will be it for me. You won't be seeing any videos or streams until at the very earliest Monday, I believe, of next week, maybe even Tuesday at the latest, but I'm gonna film my NA anniversary gacha stuff as soon as I'm back. I want you guys to have a great anniversary once again. Good luck for Tonelico, GSSR, Destiny Order, whichever you happen to go for, maybe all of them. Hey, have a good one. And if you enjoyed this video, it would be great if you could press the like button on it. It really helps out. And do subscribe and not to miss out on future videos, because like I said, the next upload will be that NA gacha anniversary stuffs. So yeah, apologies I can't be here day one for that, but yeah, I will be back very soon. Shout out to my patrons on the screen right now, and Suit for being a big YouTube tier member supporter, and I hope to see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.